Good evening once again, my loyal viewers slash listeners. This is the Heavy Metal Chemist, and this video slash blog type thing is going to be a bit of a departure from my usual scribbling in front of a phone camera with a pen, talking about chemistry, talking to you or at you. I'm going to try and talk to you this time about general crap and some thoughts I have on the music industry, which, as you can probably guess, I'm a big fan of heavy metal music. I'm a huge fan of live music, and I've noticed last couple of years especially a few major things which have begun to irk me about it. So I'd like to kind of break down my thoughts on that and see what you guys make of it. If anybody has any thoughts, then feel free to either contact me or stick things in the comments below. I know many of my friends are into live music. I've been watching bands since I was, mid-teens, if not younger, and that's why my hearing's shot as a result, but it's the price you pay for the thing you love, I guess. But lately, especially, the sound of a lot of bands I've seen has been very, very poor standard. The mixing has been terrible, to the point where it has almost ruined the show for me, to the point where I would not probably see those bands again if they did not rectify the situation. Now, these were the recent ones have been in the past couple of months at two fairly well-known venues, one of which is in London, the other of which is in Manchester, a bit closer to home for me, the latter one. And I know big venue stadiums normally have crappy sound, but when you have two bands on the same bill, one of which sounds like complete and utter shite, and the other of which sounds pretty good in comparison. I mean, by no means perfect, it's a fairly big venue, it's Academy One. You can't really justify that. I mean, people are paying a lot of money to go and see live music these days. It's not like it used to be where you could go and see fairly big bands for 10 or 15 quid. Tickets are often 25, 30 and upwards. This is partly why I refuse to pay 40 odd quid to go and see Dream Theatre, because it's just getting a bit out of hand, really. But similarly, if you take into account the cost of gig tickets, cost of getting to the gig, cost of buying beers, which are always more expensive in a gig venue, shirts were 25 quid. 5 years ago, shirts were 10 or 15 quid. There's no way that they've managed to double in price in the space of 5, 6, 7 years. It's, I don't know whether this is down to the venues. I don't think the bands themselves can really be given any of the blame regarding this. A lot of it rests on the crews of the bands, whether they're using the in-house sound guys, I don't know. But more often than not, it's a few of the bands I've seen with dodgy sound have been American Testament in particular. Last time I saw them were dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. But the two support bands sounded good. Not my kind of thing, because it was kind of screamo-y stuff, but Testament themselves sounded absolutely gash, but the support bands had a nice, good mix. That's because they had the in-house sound guy at the Ritz in Manchester, who clearly knows what he's doing. The American guy they brought with them didn't, and sounded like crap, and made the show not as good as it could have been otherwise. But, yeah, for me, having this kind of really crappy mix, just, it ruins the whole atmosphere of the show, really, which is, kind of defeats the point of going to watch the band. I mean, yeah, I know seeing the band perform is a big part of why we go to gigs, but again, if you can't hear what song it is, I went to see Mgła, the Polish black metal band, in London back in December, and all we could hear for all of the bands was just drums. And when you're listening to a kind of melodic black metal band, you can't hear the vocals, you can't hear the melody from the guitars, it's just a wall of drum noise. It's very, very difficult to tell what songs are being played, really, which kind of, again, defeats the objective. I mean, to their credit, they did put on a reasonably good visual performance, although they didn't interact with the crowd much. That's another thing that does bother me to a degree. I do like it when bands interact with the crowd more than not, so to speak. I mean, even if you're standing still on stage, you can at least introduce yourselves and say this song is blah 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 blah. But anyway, it's the sound that really kills it for me. If you're going to, you're paying 30 quid to see a band, you want them to sound good, so you can actually tell what songs are being played and enjoy the music. But if you can't do that, then I don't know why, really. I mean, again, I think part of this is, I don't know, the other thing I was talking about in terms of cost is a lot of the venues are struggling nowadays to keep their doors open, so they just jack prices up and up and up and up, and they've started eating into bands' merch sales and jack the price of beer up and everything. You can't really afford to spend 50, 60, 70 quid on a gig every time you go to one. It's a bit excessive, really. Very excessive. I mean, I know it's very hard as a touring musician nowadays. You can't really make a living off it, but one would expect that if you're a touring band, you're putting your effort in to give the audience the best performance you can every night. You'd expect your road crew to do the same thing for you, the sound guys, the lighting guys, yada yada yada, and your management to make sure everything's running smoothly. But again, if your sound guy's letting you down, you really need to do something about it. If people are saying things, listen to them, because ultimately the fans are paying your wages, or paying for this rather expensive hobby that we all indulge in. Well, music's don't intend to ever make any sizable amount of money off it, but if you can make any money, break even, that's something more than a lot of people can say. So that's my thoughts on that topic. If you'd like me to do more of these kind of things, just give me a shout out, and any particular topics you'd like me to rant about. But I'll try and do more of these as I notice more things that irk me, and I'll try and get them on the net as and when I get the time to record them. This is again very much a train of thought kind of thing. I am just rambling, but I've seen quite a few channels that I've subscribed to do this kind of thing, where they just talk at you about random crap and junk. So I hope this has been a bit of a difference / insight into some of my thinking behind one of my hobbies. If you can call going to see bands a hobby, I guess it is. Playing music and listening to music, and it's kind of a bit of a culture, really. But again, it's all good fun at the end of the day, except when it gets ruined by a crap sound job. So please do like this video, etc, subscribe, and you know the score with YouTube, you know how it goes. And I'll hopefully try and stick a few lectures or something up in the next week or so, as and when I get free time to record them. So hopefully, yeah. Thanks for taking the time, and good night.